Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Suzerain and to Swordland, where in the last episode, what is this? BFF under new leadership. Okay, as I was saying, last episode, the communists surrounded the building, and we need to make a decision. Are we gonna flee with the rich people, or are we gonna go try and go down? We have been strongly advised by the police and security to not go down. So of course I'm gonna I'm gonna go down. I was never gonna get in that fucking helicopter. Can you imagine the newspaper headlines? As we stepped out of the towering front gate of the Gazan facility, I immediately became aware of how tense the situation was. Gus Manger stood to my right. I mean, Gus, you didn't have to come. You could have gone in the helicopter. Just, I'm going. Stood to my right, his silhouette barely distinguishable from the monolithic edifice behind us. Serge stood to my left, his eyes scanning the crowd with the precision of a hawk. Good man, Serge. I trust you with my life. The Gazom security had drawn their weapons in anticipation. Fuck's sake. Forming a bristling wall around the perimeter. My presidential guard, in stark contrast, stood tall and unflinching at the entrance, shielding us from the sea of angry workers surrounding us. The shouts of the crowd were deafening, the hostility palpable. Stoller and Horton stood at the forefront with fire in their eyes. With a deep breath, I prepared to address them. Gus extended a megaphone toward me. Could improve living conditions. Yeah, my fellow swords, we are here today not as adversaries, but as... Okay, collaborators is not good. No. To the hard-working employees of Gazam, we stand with you today. Our shared goal is simple, to demand improved living and working conditions for everyone. Not a hollow promise. We are not blind to your struggles, we seek to acknowledge them, address them, and above all, improve them. Speeches and more speeches from President Rain, but what exactly was decided today? We need more than pretty words, we need substance. She's right, Mr. President, we need details. What's going to change for the workers? Now, hold on a moment. President Rain is committed to bringing about real change. His actions and decisions demonstrate this clearly, even if it doesn't fit your narrative. Is that so, Manger? All we've seen are decisions that favor the likes of you and Ewell Alfonso, not the common workers. It's not about narratives, Mr. Manger. It's about ensuring fair, dignified life for the working class, something your policies have consistently failed to do. I understand your skepticism, Dennis, but I assure you my administration is devoted to bringing about better conditions for our workers. Your words are compelling, President Rain, but can they truly outweigh the years of corporate dominance? Your intentions sound noble, President Rain, but intentions alone don't feed families or pay bills. We need concrete actions. Your neglect of our nation's healthcare system will harm millions. Who said neglect? I haven't even made decisions. I'm gonna increase the budget, for fuck's sake. Mr. President, we demand that you support the upcoming workers' rights bill. The labor force of Sorlin will be watching your next move closely. Furthermore, we want to reform, reduce the election threshold, and change the constitution to make a more democratic and fairer nation. I understand the concerns and frustrations. Yeah, I understand the concerns and frustrations of many you have. Rest assured, we are here, we are listening, and we are committed to addressing these issues. Despite the sharp words exchanged, the crowd remained eerily calm. It seems like they were waiting, their collective breath held in anticipation of something more. Suddenly, a reporter pushed through the crowd, brandishing a microphone toward me. The locals of Narbel have suffered under the impact of Gazom for years. What concrete steps is Gazom going to take for the benefit of the local community? Um, Gazom has recognized the value. I mean, I'm pretty much saying exactly the same thing, but in different ways. So I'm kind of wondering what are the implications of each one? Acknowledgement their indispensable workforce. Gazom has recognized the value of its blue-collar workers and agreed to increase their wages. These hard-working individuals are the backbone of their operations and deserve fair compensation. This is a substantial step towards ensuring well-being and prosperity for all workers, not just Gazoms. The air suddenly felt somewhat lighter. Murmurs of conversation started to percolate through the crowd, signs of animosity dwindling. Eventually, all fell silent and they waited for Dennis and Katerina to respond. So our blue-collared comrades are finally getting the attention they deserved, are they? I must admit that's a step forward. But let's not forget, President Rain, that this is only correcting a long-standing injustice. We will wait and see if these are empty promises or if you truly intend to uphold the rights of our working class. An increase in wages, finally. It's about time, Mr. President. While I appreciate this apparent commitment, let's not pat ourselves on the back just yet. Real success will be measured in the paychecks of the workers, not in words spoken here today. I mean, yeah, like that was he said it to me in a private meeting, saying that he would personally make sure of it. That doesn't mean he's gonna do it, but hopefully now that I've said it out in public, he will. Otherwise, I'll look like even more of a fool. A group of figures emerged from the crowd, adorned in unmistakable scarlet attire. The Red Youth had arrived. The sight of them had triggered nostalgia, memories of the day filled with protests and camaraderie during the time at university. Ah, yes. I realized this was no longer a mere protest. It was a symbol of a broader, more potent struggle. The police began reorganizing their ranks, adopting defensive postures. You shed some light on the possible deal between Sarge's government and Gazon. What role does the Kingdom of Rizia play in this arrangement? Sauron is renewing. Yes, sure. Let's be diplomatic here. Sauron is renewing its ties with the Kingdom of Rizia. Together, we will provide the funding that Gazom and its workers need. Partnership with Rizia. You are aware that monarchy's history of stamping out disagreement with brute force. Yeah, I don't have to like them, but I do want their money. We will be watching this co-investment closely. Your government will be responsible for keeping this partner's worst tendencies in check. Nearby, a Gazom security officer and a presidential guard member were conversing in hushed tones. I saw them glance over the crowd, now calmer but still restless. President Rain, while the crowd appears somewhat subdued, I would advise we exercise caution. It may be best to conclude your address and proceed to the vehicle. Yeah, won't running. Are you sure won't running away from this only make the protests angrier? I'll remain here, Mr. President. The crowd seems calmer now, and I believe I can answer their queries and maintain the peace. You should go ahead. Mr. President, thank you for your willingness to address us. Let's continue these important conversations moving forward. You've shown courage today. We'll see you in action. We'll see if your actions match your words. Until next time. We have shown courage together. Now we will hold you accountable to your promises. The troubles of the laborers are not over, and neither is the work of our union. As an old Red Youth member, I can personally say that the work you do is of utmost importance. This has bit me in the... I mean, leaning on the Red Youth pass would has bit me in the ass before, but I'm still gonna do it. Flutter of whispers rippled through the sea of onlookers, their eyes darting back and forth between us in surprise. Oh, so it wasn't public knowledge? Fuck. oh, I'm fucked. A few broke into scattered applause. The initially hesitant clapping grew louder, and jubilant cheers and whistles filled the air. I saw the Red Youth members standing at the edge of the crowd with their arms folded, a hint of approval in their eyes. As I readied myself to leave, I turned back to Katerina and Dennis a last time. Joyce will listen to act. Yeah, as the dialogue has only started, I assure you both my commitment to progress and change is unwavering. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Yeah, definitely. The reporter jumped in. Can you clarify the current status of your personal relationship with... well, no more questions, please. Thank you, Serge. Mr. President, if you could please proceed to the vehicle. Serge opened the door of the car and I lowered myself into the seat. The door closed behind me and, with a thud, sealing off external noise. The crowd began to disperse, the individuals breaking away to let our convoy through. The guards took their positions, nonetheless forming a human barrier around the vehicle. The engine spurred to life and we began to move. I am glad we are safely on our way, Mr. President. A little excitement to keep on our toes. Yeah, no. Thank you, Serge. I don't know what I'd do without you. Merely doing my job, Mr. President. Ensuring your safety is my top priority. The echoing voices of the protesters gradually subsided as we retreated from the scene and left Narville behind. That went well. Can you imagine the fucking headlines? President flees with rich people and flees from workers with rich people on helicopter. Fuck's sake. That would have been such a bad idea. Stability Order of 54. Ban the fascists, obviously. I mean, don't even need to think about it. Okay, Green Act. Impose stricter regulations on industrial pollution. -1 budget. Fuck. But I do want to do it, but fuck's sake. Upon receiving the order, thousands of police officers conducted cease and desist operations against your own swords. Fuck yeah. Okay. Finalizing the draft of the constitutional changes. I was walking to my office since today was the day to edit and make the final changes for the proposal to change the Constitution of Swordland. The Reform Committee finally bore tangible results and the draft of the changes were about to be presented to me. Okay. Wanted to see what the button did. I walked in the marble corridors of the palace, thinking about the huge decisions I was going to take. At the entrance to my office, my spy, my secretary Olivia, greeted me. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, spy. How are you today, sir? No, I'm not flirting with the fucking spy. I'm perfectly fine. Good to hear. She paused before taking my coat. It looked like she had something on her mind. Mr. Rain, can you give me a hint about your reform plans? Fucking spy! If you ask me, taking away the judge's immunity is long overdue, but it might anger a lot of people in these halls. I'll take that into consideration. Hope you'll keep me informed. I'll take your coat now. I'm sure you'd love to be kept informed, you fucking spy. Leave you left to hang my coat, I entered the office and sat down. Not long after, Peter, Lucian, and Nia arrived. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning. Time to finally get this proposal going. Peter placed the draft in front of me. After your modifications, we will be starting the process. Okay, let's start. After placing the committee's report on my own notes in front of me, I buried myself in the papers. President may veto a bill. Okay, let's keep vetoes, but 3/5. But let's get a overridable veto. I mean, I think that'll probably appease the Sardists a little bit. Okay, yeah, remove Supreme Court's voting rights. Impeachment process only includes the Supreme Court. Okay, let's include the Assembly and the impeachment. Makes sense. President appoints ministers to Council of Ministers. Either Assembly nominates ministers is not really good, not really a great idea, but confirmation hearings, they're not really that. I mean, I live in a country where the head of government directly appoints the government. Well, the president, the head of state, appoints the head of government, which appoints the government. And looking at Americans' confirmation, sure, let's have confirmation hearings. It's a shit show. Let's have the shit show. Why not? Okay, let's decrease the threshold to 3. Let's be fucking radical there. Agrees on political, social, and economic issues that would carry the force of law. They could not contradict the Constitution and are subject to judicial review. However, the Assembly may pass legislation on the same subject. Sure, let's keep the decrees, but require an enabling act. And sure, let's do term limits. Makes sense. Constitution gives the justices. Sure, they should be able to be impeached. Fuck. Let's make every president a member of honor. Hopefully, this will appease the solists, while still kind of democratizing the whole thing. It's not just, it stops being something that's just for Seoul, and it's a thing for every president. It's still shit. I would like to abolish it, but I tried going full radical last time. It did not go well. Am I sure about my decisions? I have to be. After I made the final changes to the proposal, I showed it to my team. They read the changes and discussed it amongst themselves. Lucian spoke afterwards. Looks like the amendments are ready to be proposed. I have to say this too. The new electoral threshold will be really difficult for the party to accept. Our guys are not fond of that idea. That's true. Yeah, fuck. I should have went for 8, shouldn't I? That's true, it will be tough to get all of their support. Some of our members may try to openly fight against us. Uh, yeah, I'm prepared to reconsider if it comes to that. We'll do our best to make it work, sir. Any other comments before we proceed? I will say that I do not agree with the new law that gives the Assembly the power to impeach the judges of the Supreme Court. Of course, you being a judge in the Supreme Court, I am also against the Chief Justice and his obstructionist behavior, but even if we get rid of all of them, the new judges will be less independent with this law. They will be scared to go against administration when it's needed. They need their protection to do their job, otherwise the new ones will be pawns just like Saul's old guards. It's more important that we get rid of the old guards, Miss Morgana. After the obstacles are gone, we can strive to make it better. Okay, when I made that decision, I was thinking of impeachment as something that's used to remove a grossly incompetent person for very, very valid reasons. And then now reminding myself of impeachment and discussions about impeachment in recent history, I do realize that that might be a little bit of a fanciful idea of what impeachment leads to. Can strive to make it better. What about the changes to the Member of Honor law? I see that the President is still trying very hard to get immunity and save his skin after his term. The fuck was that? The fuck is that for, Nia? This law should have been abolished. Yes, it should, but I don't think we can abolish it. It was made to protect Seoul, and now you're trying to give this to every president. This conflicts with our idea of democratic reform, sir. You're reading too much into it. Yeah, I'm trying to placate the Soulists, not doing anything for my benefit. You're reading too much into it, Miss Marna. She looked at me angry. Well, I think we can proceed now. I will personally work on the wording of this proposal with my hand-picked legal experts. With Miss Morna's reputation the most experienced attorney, this proposal will be bulletproof. Chief Justice Orso will have a hard time convincing others to oppose it. In the meantime, you must introduce this proposal to our party. We'll need to get them to back us if we want to pass the Assembly. Sir, I advise you to first talk to the leaders of both conservative and reformist wings of the party. As far as I'm aware, Mr. Clavin supports the reforms already. Mrs. Story will be the real problem. She became the real heavyweight after we left for the executive. Any advice for the speech? Sir, you're pretty well versed in speeches. You know the party, just make sure we get them hyped up about the reforms. Don't show any weakness. You must also be prepared to reconsider the proposal if it comes to that. Thanks for the advice. Wish you good luck with the party, sir. I think we can end this meeting here. We all shook hands and they left the room. Hopefully I can get this passed. Okay, that's just a quick reference to the current proposal. Cool, just in case we agree to change it. That's awesome. Dinner with the Business Council? I don't want to go have dinner with the Business Council. Okay, meeting for the Energy Protection Act. As the morning sun streamed through the window of the presidential office, an imminent meeting loomed in my agenda. In a quarter of an hour, I was set to discuss the Energy Protection Act of 1932 with Minister Graf Holland Vichy. The recent abrogation of the Grand National Assembly, coupled with ongoing dialogues with Gazom, had only served to amplify the discourse surrounding the legislation. I was sipping my morning coffee and enjoying a quiet moment of solitude when David arrived, characteristically early. Very good morning to you, Mr. President. I trust I'm not imposing by arriving ahead of schedule. Not at all, David. On the contrary, we've now got an extra few minutes to strategize before the meeting. I'm relieved to hear that, Anton. I depart earlier for my appointment nowadays. For my appointments nowadays, as the stairs of the capital have become more of a challenge than I would like to admit. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Would you like some coffee or tea? I've already had my tea today, as per my doctor's advice. She suggests chamomile in the morning and sage tea in the evening for optimal health. Listening to the doctor does bring me some comfort. It feels as though my throat has been refreshed thanks to her. His gaze drifted, looking onto something beyond the window. Colossal Zeppelin traversed the sky. Oh, Zeppelin's awesome. Above the Maroon District for a fleeting moment, it blotted out the sun before gently veering to the left, letting light flood the office once more. I still remember the first airships in Sworland. We purchased them from Kinal after the war, during the birth of what Sol called the Second Republic. Our infrastructure lay in ruins, and those zeppelins offered a much-needed lifeline, a chance to traverse and rebuild, and then, thanks to our research council's diligent efforts, we started manufacture our own in Gelsort. Build more zeppelins! Traveling on zeppelins. No, Zeppelin's is awesome. Train's better, but Zeppelin's awesome. The manufacture of Zeppelins in Gelsord was truly a turning point. Quite right, it symbolized our resilience, our determination to regain our footing. It was a beacon of hope, signaling the revival of our battered industry. Our reliance on others was temporary, a stepping stone towards the self-sufficiency we achieved with the National Autarky Plan. Even though it had downsides, I still considered it a success. Pause fell over the room. David's gaze landed on the portraits of Dark Sol hanging in the presidential office. Why haven't I taken it down yet? His eyes lingered on the stern face of the old leader. A sigh escaped his lips. Now when I think of the EPA, my mind is carried back to the formative years of post-Civil War the whole sort. In the 1930s, the debates, the passion, the potential for transformation, it was a time of renewed optimism. It's our duty now to learn from the past and strive for a better future. What applied back then won't apply to now. What applied back then won't apply to now. Life in household back then was tough. Life in Holsor was tough. Electricity blackouts, ruined infrastructure, unemployment, gangs. It was a challenging period, yes, but we persevered together as a nation. Persevered. I did not agree with all of the measures enacted by the technocratic government. Is that the word we're choosing to describe it? But some were undeniably ineffective. In the end, it took a collective effort to reassemble our nation's fragmented pieces. I'm sure you remember those dark days yourself. I know you were just a student at the Lechhaven Business School, far from Holsord, but the armed rebels did reach your area. It was a surreal time, studying business principles while chaos ensued just a few miles away. Stability and order is important to our nation, yet sometimes disorder is necessary to change. David turned towards the large framed portrait of his father, Arthur Seneco Wishy, hanging on the wall, painted with rich, warm hues. First president of Sutherland. Okay, cool. Awesome. It captured the first president of Sutherland in his prime. A spark of determination gleamed in his eyes, and his mouth was set in gentle, firm smile, a reflection of his belief in a better future for our country. Your father's legacy still looms large. Has it influenced your own views? My father was a visionary, a man who sought to modernize Sutherland into a secular democratic republic. I've always been guided by his principles. His ability to mobilize public support for revolutionary change has been a constant inspiration to me. He looked back at the portrait with a mix of pride and sadness. In a way, Tarkin Sol did carry on my father's legacy. Under his leadership, we transitioned from a military government to a civilian one, and experienced our first multi-party elections. But over time, he drifted away from the ideals of reform and progress that my father held so dear. His visionary zeal succumbed to the more pragmatic, more conservative, and sometimes even regressive dictates of political survival. Perhaps history would take a different course. In respect, an earlier resignation might have been beneficial. His ingrained traditions seem to have done more harm than good in the long run. Okay. Perhaps history would have been different, of course, if the Izam incident hadn't happened. Indeed, the Izam incident is a reminder of how unforeseen events can rapidly change the course. I'm assuming this is what killed his father. No, okay. Okay, so Soul destroyed the village, basically, is what I'm getting. Yeah, destroyed the village to build a dam. Turned us away from the path of reform, but we still worked hard to create the Sutherland my father had envisioned. Alfonso, for all his flaws, did seek to set the nation back on path of progress with his focus on free market and economic liberalization. His EPA amendments, for example, were severe departure from Seoul's national autarky plan, but many praised the way that it opened the door for unprecedented foreign investment in our energy economy. First was a lot of state educators, yes, SSC bills. Do you think the EPA still holds relevance today, or should we continue a complete overhaul? The EPA has its roots in a different era. While some of its principles may still hold, we must not shy away from revising it in light of our current needs and challenges. Just as this conversation hit a pause, the door swung open and the other ministers arrived. Simon Hole entered first with a confident stride. Good morning, Mr. President. David, I trust discussion is progressing well. Leas followed closely behind. She walked in with an air of calm authority, her gaze sweeping across the room. Gentlemen, I hope I am not interrupting anything crucial. Welcome, everyone. It's great to see you all here. We have some important discussions on the agenda today, particularly concerning the Energy Protection Act. Indeed, it's a critical issue that we need to address. I look forward to hearing everyone's perspectives. Today we have the opportunity to shape the economic strategy of Sorland for decades to come. The EPA has long stood as a key contention and debate point of the National Autarky Plan. This matter is a discussion of how Sorland sees itself and how we position ourselves in the world. Our nation has taken very different economic approaches in the last 4 decades. The President's decision to foster a planned economy provides us with significant insight into our policy direction. Should we decide to increase the EPA threshold to 49% or eliminate it entirely, it could spark an influx of foreign investment. Given our current economic predicament, this would be a significant boost. A planned economy does not necessarily mean restricting foreign investment. It's about judicious management and control, ensuring that our nation's interests are always at the forefront. Yes, you present a compelling argument, Les. It's certainly an aspect we must consider moving forward. Thank you, Mr. President. It's crucial to consider all angles in a matter as important as this. Mr. President, Les, shall we return to the subject of the EPA? Our current version of the Energy Protection Act dates back to 1949. President Alfonso's amendments raised the cap on foreign investment in storage energy companies up to 20%. In my view, it was a necessary step to attract foreign investment and stimulate our economy. We must remember that Sordland was facing an economic crisis during this tenure, and these changes provided a lifeline of our energy industries. But did the increase foreign ownership actually lead to substantial economic growth? While the increase in foreign ownership alone didn't lead to a drastic upturn in economic growth, it did have a positive effect. It facilitated foreign investment and provided our industries with much needed capital. The effect of such policy changes often take time to fully manifest, but they lay the groundwork for future economic development. The Assembly has spoken on this matter, and as it stands, the Energy Protection Act of 1932 will not be repealed. It's clear that our colleagues have recognized the potential risks of exposing our energy sector to foreign ownership. While this doesn't end the debate, it does underline the importance of respecting our Assembly's decision. So as we made. Fair point, we must respect the decision of the Assembly, even if it doesn't align with our own view. I respect the decision of the Assembly, as however, we mustn't allow this setback to deter us from exploring the best possible options for Solarland. The global landscape is ever evolving, and we must adapt accordingly. It's also important to remember that the Assembly's decision is not the final word. There is room for further legislative efforts and executive initiatives. When it comes to the Energy Protection Act, I believe we should consider complete removal. If not, at the very least, we should consider the threshold to 49%. I would prefer 40%, like 51% might be legally enough, but 51% might be legally enough to keep control, but this would undoubtedly attract more foreign investment and strengthen energy institutions such as Gazprom and Sordis Petroleum. I'm sure you're right about that, but we have to remember that we're dealing with national security as well as economics. Reverting to the Sol era 10% limit or keeping the law as it is would be a safer approach. We cannot risk our energy infrastructure failing into foreign hands, especially not to Rumberg. I see the merit in both your arguments. Yes, we need to protect our national security, but we also need to consider the economic implications. Perhaps a mixed approach would work best. What if we increase the limit to 49%, thereby attracting foreign investment while maintaining Swedish control over critical energy sectors? Thank you, David. Uh, a reasonable solution. Yeah, considering potential foreign buyers, what are the worst case scenarios if they gain control? Yeah, what are the worst case scenarios if they gain control of our hydroelectric gas and oil sectors? They can price gouge us out of it, basically. Can price gouge the shit out of it. Think about it, Mr. President. If any of those countries, but especially Rumberg, gains control of our energy sector, they could cut off our power at any moment. We would also be forced to comply with any decision they made regarding prices or environmental measures. There's no denying the potential risks of foreign buyers gaining control over critical sectors. If we increase the foreign ownership threshold to 49%, we can attract more investment while mitigating those risks. While we may see entities from Kenai, Rizia, yada yada yada, as potential threats, it's also crucial to see them as potential partners. Rumberg, not so much. The scenario Lileas mentioned are possible, of course, but think about the economic growth and international relations that could be fostered. Yeah, that's why I'm going with David's plan. How would the Energy Potential Act change this impact corporations like Gazprom, which could sell to an entity under the revised law? I believe you already know the answer to this, Mr. President. Gazprom could fall under foreign control just like any other energy corporation. On the other hand, foreign investment would result in increased resources flowing to Gazprom and its ilk. And those resources could be channeled into further developments of our energy sector. Yes, Gazprom could potentially sell to anyone, but wouldn't that be a testament of the strength and attractiveness of our energy sector on the global stage? Yeah, we can proceed. We don't need to debate this any further. I think I've made my decision. Oh no, this is important. How would it affect prices within Swordland? The national security. I'm aware of national security risks. It's a bit overblown, but there's also it's at the same time understated and overblown. If that makes any sense. How would it affect prices, though? With increased foreign investment, we could potentially see a decrease in energy prices, but we should also consider the potential impact on job security and national control of our energy sector. Changing the EPA could lead to increased energy prices as foreign entities could manipulate the market. With increased competition and foreign investment, we would also see a decrease in energy prices. We could also, I mean, Simon, okay, we could also, we are talking about decreasing, could also see a decrease. Ugh. The more players in the market, the more competitive the prices will be. Yeah, except unless they all work as a cartel, and then you're fucked. We can proceed. Time to settle this subject. Given the turbulent economic landscape, maintaining the status quo of the Energy Protection Act could offer us stability. We are already open to foreign investments at a 20% threshold. Changing this percentage may introduce unexpected challenges and could complicate our foreign relations. I firmly believe in the sovereignty and strength of our nation. Returning this threshold to 10%, as it was during the Seoul era, could protect us from under foreign influence and ensure that our energy sector remains in Swedish hands. They're still privately owned. It's just where the corporation is from. Still shit. It could be privately owned by a public sector corporation of another country. Increasing the foreign investment could significantly stimulate our economy. The careful increase to 49% could be a balanced compromise, signaling to the world that Swordland is open for business while still retaining majority control of our assets. We must consider the far-reaching implications of our actions. Today's decision regarding the EPA will significantly impact Gazprom and other corporations in the future. Regarding Gazprom, our co-investment with Russia allows us to distribute the financial burden and mitigate risks. This decision promotes regional cooperation, aligning well with our fiscal policies. Russia might not be the best partner given our history with them, but we have to take a balanced approach with our budget and economy. Simon meticulously adjusted his glasses. With Sorlin and Rizia co-investing in Gazprom, there's a chance to build a partnership that benefits both our economies. However, how we adjust the EPA could significantly impact the outcome. Sharing the burden with Rizia does provide some reassurance. However, if we raise the foreign ownership threshold, we must be wary of the influence of Romberg. Increase the value of our shares. Yeah, while our points are valid, yes, we can't ignore the potential economic benefits. Raising the threshold could attract more investors and increase the value of our shares. I understand the potential economic benefits, but we can't compromise our sovereignty for profits. Increasing the threshold might attract more foreign investors and increase the value of our stake, but of course we should ensure that Sorlin's interests are safeguarded. Opting for a more balanced approach aligns well with our objective of maintaining positive trade relations without compromising our sovereignty. Safeguards for national interests. Balancing the need for economic growth. Yeah, our priority should be balancing the need for economic growth with maintaining national sovereignty. Perhaps a phased approach to increasing foreign ownership could be the answer. I would say we've covered the implication of your EPA decision fairly thoroughly, Mr. President. Our actions should be guided by the best interests of our nation. Mr. President, it's time for us to make a decision. What should we do with the EPA? Increase foreign ownership to 49%. This will increase foreign investment. Balanced approach will serve us well. This could attract significant foreign investment. It's a substantial increase. I fear we are opening ourselves up too much. The door to the room opened. Livia Suno carried the tray laden with assortment of beverages. She was a little clumsy as she maneuvered around the room, refilling cups and glasses with tea, coffee, and water. Excuse me, gentlemen and madam, I've brought refreshments. Just water for me. Appreciate it, Olivia. Tea would be perfect. Yes, Tea would be perfect now. I mean, yes, please be more considerate and ask before you enter, you fucking spy. Very well, Mr. President, here's your tea. As she finishes serving the beverages, Livia retreated towards the door. She glanced around the room one last time before quietly backing out. The meeting resumed, our conversation growing slightly louder over the clink of cups and glasses. While we are here, I will inform you all that I've been lending my expertise to Minister Bennywell in relation to the Workers' Rights Bill. I believe it's crucial to ensure fair treatment of our workforce and its nearing presentation. Your collaboration with Bennywell is commendable. I hope it will bring about positive change for our workforce. Thank you, Mr. President. The bill aims to prioritize workers' well-being. It's a step towards a more humane economic system. I share your sentiment, Mr. President. However, we must be careful to avoid encouraging anti-business tendencies. Fuck you and your anti-business tendencies. I concur, Mr. President. Ensuring the rights of our workers is paramount, although we must be cautious of hidden agendas. Fucking you and the hidden agendas, Lilias. For fuck's sake. Anyway, I have been working on our upcoming term budget meeting and a proposal for business taxation changes. Specifically, we're considering a range of 10% tax changes for small to medium enterprises and large corporations. This could be a significant move for our economic landscape. Uh, um, okay, Sammy. Okay, no, fuck, not fuck SMEs, but fuck small business owners. They have a very specific kind of brainworm. I'm very satisfied that we are executing bold changes under this administration. Bold changes can often lead to significant advancement. It's a testament to the government's vision and willingness to embrace innovation. We should explore alternative strategies that promote growth while ensuring corporations contribute their fair share. Yes, David. To me, promoting growth comes secondary to holding corporations accountable. As the ministers rose from their seats, the late morning light spilled into the room through the ornate windows. It seemed to signal the conclusion of the meeting. Thank you for all your insights and collaboration today. Have a great afternoon. Thank you for the discussion. I'll continue working on our priorities. Goodbye, everyone. See you at the third budget meeting. Until next time, dear colleagues, take care and see you soon. And that is going to be it for this episode. Thank you all so very much for watching. As always, I have been Pope. Please do remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.